camera's dirty. Been a little while since I've been on here. Oh, you'll have to excuse my camera. It is not the ray of sunshine right now, and neither am I. To be honest, it's funny. I've been going in and out of feeling like crap for my physical 3D challenges that I've kind of been avoiding the camera, but I'm kind of back to where I was this time last year when I really started getting back into it. Like, you know what, fuck it. Human moments, right? In any case, I was just trying to stretch out my legs and my back a little bit. And there's been some big learning lessons in shadow work going on. And I almost continued this as a part of step 17 with the star card theme, but it felt much more fitting to card 18, the moon. And it's funny because there are a fair amount of similarities. And of course, go figure, the star and the moon go together just like they do in the sky. They go together as cards. And both of them have a fair amount to do with faith. One of the places that they differ, though, is that one of the most common interpretations of the moon card is confusion. When you look at the card, there are a whole number of elements in there. And if you look at them all together and you try to figure out what they are, there are no answers. There's so many different interpretations to all of the archetypes and icons and things on there that, I mean, it is kind of what you want it to be, to a degree. There is actually meaning in the moon card, but confusion is one of them. Faith is another. There's a little winding road on it. It starts out kind of as a little creek where the crawfish is, and then it crosses between two wolves, or a wolf and a dog, if you want, and then between the two pillars that actually exist both on the High Priestess card and as two towers. And then it winds down a hill. And you don't see where it goes. And as it goes through the card, it starts to lose its color even. It starts to blend in with the background. And I've had a couple of really brilliant tarot readers share with me their feelings on it, and it resonated with me so much that that's the unfolding journey. It's the winding road. And sometimes when you're on, well, any journey, it doesn't have to be a twin flame journey, but for the purposes of Path of the Empress, we're talking about a twin flame journey. There are going to be times when you don't know what's ahead. You don't know if there's more no communication, no contact. You don't know if union's right around the bend. You don't know if you've got poverty or abundance coming. You don't know if you've got another karmic lesson. Well, there's always going to be all those things, but you don't know which one is next. And where a lot of us get stuck, including myself on a regular basis, is in trying to predict what's coming next. Trying to figure out, how do I do this? If you're, just barely in separation, how do I exist without my twin? If you're further along the journey, it's how do I release my twin? Even further along after that, how do I understand how I reflect my twin? And then again, how do I release my twin? How do I work on myself amongst all these thoughts that come in and out? How do I focus on a mission? How do I understand what's going on? And as each one comes through, I don't know about you, but for me, a lot of times I get caught in how. I don't get so caught up in the when anymore. Like, when is this going to happen? And I don't get so caught up in the why, but I did. The how, the when, and the why. Why is this happening to me? Why are they doing that? Why am I doing this? How do I stop doing that? When will this be done? When does union come? And then slowly that evolves into when. Who cares about when? When it's right. When it's divine timing. When you're ready. When they're ready. When you're both ready at the same time. Then you get to the why. You go, why doesn't really matter. Why do you love them? There's really not going to be an explanation. You just do. Why do they love you? Because they do. I could tell you all day long because you're amazing. And because you see things in them that your soul knows to be true that defy the 3D because you know they're 5D selves. But really, when it comes down to it, doesn't really matter. It's an absurdity. And love is always like that, whether it's twin flame or not. And then it's the how. And a lot of times the how sticks around longer because then it's, how do I work on myself? How do I do my shadow work? How do I stop thinking about them so much? How do I let myself think about them without going into a bad pattern? How do I work on what I'm reflecting? How do I see what I need to work on? There's a lot of hows. And what I felt like came to me as a download is that how is that confusion of the moon card. And I guess sort of you could think of it as a Tao of the moon. Is that when you get to a place where you're feeling like things are very complicated, uncomplicate them. It was actually in some memories of some of the bigger arguments that my DM and I had before I said, okay, enough. Go. Go out into the world and make your own messes. I'm not cleaning yours up anymore. And there was a lot of times that we had conversations where it was a lot of immaturity and getting him to admit first that he actually did something wrong, then get past the pride to apologize for doing something wrong. And when he got to genuine remorsefulness, he'd say he'd fix it, he'd change, he'd do better, do different. Only problem was is that he'd say that and then it wouldn't happen. We might, there might have been a change for a few days, a week, a few weeks, sometimes for a month, and then it would happen again. And I started to notice, like I started thinking about myself in that, like, well, how do I change a pattern that is not good, that's hurting him or hurting me? And I'm kind of used to it because of my ADHD. I have to find compensatory skills for all sorts of things. So it could be as simple as set a date in your calendar for a goal, or have an accountability partner, talk to a friend and ask them to help keep you accountable. There are so many different things. Write a note for yourself, tie a ribbon around your finger, wear a rubber band. There's so many different techniques, and he wasn't doing any of them. And so I started to get on him about that. And when he would say, well, I'm going to change this, I'm not going to do that anymore, I won't do that, I won't hurt you this way, or I won't lie, or I won't do this or that, and I'd say, but that's not possible. You can't just do it like that. If you could, you would have. But these are clearly habits that you need to put more attention to. And I bring up the story because what I kind of laughed at myself about is that there's a couple of things that I've been learning lately. And sometimes the way that I get there is actually by just saying it's that easy. Like I know it's that easy. I don't need to know how it works. I don't have to overanalyze it. I don't have to know what every little piece and cog is. I just embrace the absurdity that really it could just be that easy. And then it works. I, I, I'll probably talk about countless times that it works. I'm not going to put them in this particular video, but oftentimes just doing that, just giving myself permission to not need to know how it works. And it made me laugh because I realized in that moment how funny is it that I spent so many times saying it did not work that way. It was not that easy. It could not be that easy. Only to get there myself and realize it is that easy. And then I kind of laughed because I realized I wasn't wrong in that moment. He could not get there that easily in those moments. Nor could I. I didn't know better at that time, or I wouldn't have seen it that way. And I realized what the difference was. In the moments when I'm doing it, I really want it. Whatever the thing is that I want to change, whether it's an eating pattern, or a way of thinking, getting out of like worst case scenarios, or stinking thinking, cutting down on smoking, getting into physical therapy, things like that. I have to want it. And when I want it, sometimes I get locked up in the details. And then I get confused about which way to go. And there are many times when that sort of thing can happen when it comes to your faith in the journey, your faith in yourself, and, well, your faith in anything. Because when you doubt, whether it's the journey or your twin or friends or your tribe, any of that, when you doubt anything outside of yourself, you are doubting yourself. And it's easy to do that sometimes, especially at first. It's easy to get to a place to where you're doubting things because you can't see them around you. But it's kind of like, what is it in the movie The Santa Claus? Seeing isn't believing, believing is seeing. And that's really what the difference is. You can tell yourself it's that easy, but if you don't believe it and you don't really want it, it's not. If you really want it and you really believe it, it is. Or at least it can be. It does take some practice, like most things. If you've been really, really practiced in your mind of saying that things are difficult or that you're a victim or that they're hard or that you must know why or how or when, you've got some old momentum there, and it'll take a little more than a few tries to get to a place to where you can recognize, oh, you know what? I'm kind of in this moon card moment. I've got all these elements and I'm complicating it more than it needs to be. And then you could say, you know what? It's that easy. And you can ask the universe. Say, thank you, universe, for showing me it's that easy. Whether it's healing your body physically, whether it's learning to exist as an individual solo entity while feeling pushed and pulled away from and towards a twin, whether it's being a parent, whether it's learning to adapt to all the different things that the world at large and collective consciousness throw at us. It doesn't have to be that complicated. And so when you find yourself getting to a place where it feels that complicated, start learning to have a practice of letting go of needing all of the pieces of the puzzle. This is a lesson I actually learned really early on, and this is just more of an evolved place of it. And I learned it when I started seeing synchronicities that had to do with Alice in Wonderland, just after my DM had ran very, very hard and very fast, right into a big old complicated mess. And I had some choices to make. I mean, none of them were wrong. And I started seeing Alice in Wonderland synchronicities. And then I went to the store to get a new deck because I wanted to start doing more readings and embracing something I'd wanted to do in a long time. Sorry, for a long time. And it was an Alice in Wonderland deck. And I laughed at that synchronicity. And I learned the mantra, embrace the absurd. And now I find myself, again, a little bit further than this time last year when that happened, in a place of embracing the absurd. And that's when it comes to things like that. It's that easy. When you don't know what intention to focus on to manifest what you want. When you're not sure what's around the corner. When you're seeing so many different layers and timelines and things going on that you're not sure what to do, stop planning. Stop feeling like you've got to mold yourself into the right shape to fit the right peg hole, to be in the right place at the right time, and just find your faith. Like I said, that's a lot of what the moon card is about, and I think I'll do a different step to focus more on that. But that's the greatest thing of the moon card. It's just having faith. There was another mantra that I developed about this time of year last year, which was allow things to keep unfolding. Everything is unfolding in amazing ways. And that kind of gets into that seeing isn't believing, believing is seeing. If you can get there, if you can really put your faith in that, you'll be amazed at the way that things change, the way your vibration changes, the kind of people that come into and out of your vibration. And yes, the way that your twin will start reflecting. So when it feels complicated, Just uncomplicate it. Just like that. It's that easy when you're ready for it to be. Anyways, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll do some more videos for you soon. Hopefully with some cards. I've been feeling like doing it, and it's just getting the energy too, and finding my faith to get back to it.